all of these are a form of social commentary and not in any way meant to put down the ideas and ideals of any political or gender identity. You are all fair game in the eyes of the wicked, and we see you.
I've done what feel right. It just feels like
the world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Gentlemen, this is democracy manifest. Have a look at, see that chap over there? He'll take your hand off my penis.
The Deputy Secretary, the Deputy Secretary, Deputy Secretary.
This guy is fucking stupid.
stay cheesy. All right, and one more. All right, how's it going, my beautiful starflies, my patrons of truth, honesty, and facts? I recently forgot to add something to our title for today, and unfortunately, I can't fix that. Otherwise, oh wait, maybe I can. Hang on, there we go. Let's go ahead, and I don't know why it's still giving us yesterday's. This is not what it's supposed to say. Hang on one second. Let's just do it. Something fun that everybody can look at and say, yeah, I'll watch that. All right. So sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. There you go. Much better title. All right. So why did I call it that? That's the question. Well, honestly, that it seems like we're having a weird conversation lately in the news, and basically just around that political spectrum, we are looked down upon because we're pot smokers, and for some reason marijuana was always listed as a Class A drug, which means that we follow suit with cocaine, heroin, real drugs. So let's start off today by talking about weed, because it's not talked about enough. I mean, the fact that we have regulated certain things, we've decriminalized certain things, that does not mean we have legalized marijuana yet. We're still fighting that. And what's amazing to me is the amount of basically pain, misery, violence, all the stuff that comes along with being drunk. Excuse me. And honestly, during the times of Prohibition, I never understood why they didn't just replace it with weed. I think if you took the speakeasies and just had everybody smoking J's instead of, vermouth made in a bathtub, you probably wouldn't have died. Now, you have to remember that due to Prohibition, just like anything else, when you illegalize something, it now is subject to synthesization and synthesization. So you're going to have people trying to synthesize the product, because if we can't get the real thing, then we're going to make something just like that. Now, this happened with heroin, and it was called fucking Crocodile. And to my knowledge, I have not heard any new cases of this stuff. But, let's get our facts straight. One, they try to make it like the dealer's fault. And a lot of time the dealer is just getting like any other product. He gets the product, he sells the product. The product should remain the same, but if that kind of information is compartmentalized, then your dealer doesn't know how much crocodile was used or how much fentanyl was used. And so this is where people drop out. Now, this is happening every day with fentanyl, but it was happening every day in the late 20s and 30s and early 30s, because so many people were trying to synthesize alcohol. And these people are not scientists. These people are not professionals. And, that's what it does. You leave us to our own devices. When you legalize something or you take something away, you literally are putting them in a dangerous place. So currently we live in a system where you will be given medication that is extremely addictive, extremely harmful to the body when it comes down to your mental state. I now suffer from seizures that I never had before. But ever since I had to switch medications, now I have seizures. And I can honestly tell you, it's a hell that I would never wish on anybody. It is pure fucking hell. You don't remember what happened. Your jaw feels like someone punched you at least 6 times in it. And everyone around you is afraid of you. You know how miserable that fucking feeling is? So maybe leave us alone because we're just potheads trying to get by. All right. Now, the next subject on corruption is going to be very divisive, and I do not want to lose any viewers. But if you are stupid enough to not understand what I'm saying, then I didn't want you watching in the first place. But my biggest problem right now, and the scariest thing I've seen right now, is the state of Israel. I am terrified of Israel. There is so much shady ass shit when it comes to Israel that it is downright terrifying to try to put it, in your head. And the whole "we stand with Israel" regardless of what they do and even have done to us. Now, if you don't know the case of the USS Liberty, we were literally attacked by Israel. And we had a flag so fucking big you could see it from a mile away and knew that it was Americans. They even waved at us. I think they even gave them a signal, a friendly signal of some sort. And so you have guys, just trying to just lay down, relax, get some R&R. They're like sunbathing out in the fucking, out in that heat. And then immediately they just start firing at them. Not only did they fire at them, but they even killed the very people that were trying to save the innocents, save the survivors, and move them onto a raft. They shot a torpedo into the USS Liberty. And none of these victims are ever going to be talked about. None of these victims will you ever hear about, read about, if you just focus on the mainstream media. But if you talk to a fucking soldier that lost someone in the USS Liberty, they know exactly what happened. But America itself was put on a gag order because of the very fact that this was Israel. All right. Now, again, if you consider this anti-Semitic, you're a fucking moron, because this is about policy and disgusting behavior. It has nothing to do with religion or what side of religion you're on. It's about human behavior. And if you're going to say, oh, it's anti-Semitic to say, that Jewish guy is a murderer just because he murdered people. No, that makes you a fucking murderer, okay? And so there is no exception to the rule. There is no, oh, it's okay as long as these guys did it. Blacks were the most marginalized people for hundreds of years and put through slavery. and they don't run around saying it's okay as long as we shoot people. You know, we can do it because you treated us like shit 150 years ago. No black person thinks that way because they're not psychotic. Okay, so if I am bashing Israel, I'm not bashing an American Jew. You are not an Israeli. I have a very serious problem with Israel because of where we stand. We stand with Israel, but we allow these human right violations to happen every day. And when it comes down to the USS Liberty, we were attacked by our own ally, supposedly our own ally. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw this up, and then I want to explain first why is Israel so goddamn important, even in the Bible? When did it become so goddamn important? Well, it wasn't originally. Now, remember the original word of the Bible, these are all written by men, but it never included ideas of state. That didn't happen until 1909 with the Schofield Bible. Now, what this guy did was put in footnotes of his own explanation of the Bible that people then said, "Oh, it's an interpretation." No, it's not an interpretation. It's one guy adding shit. That's all it is. So let's take a look at the Schofield Bible and how it got to that point, and you'll understand why Israel is such a goddamn touchy subject. Because we were subjected to propaganda. So Christians were duped. And it's not a matter of opinion, it's fucking fact. So let's go ahead and throw this up and let's take a look.
Without further ado, here is an extended trailer for you guys.
You know what?
What exactly is the Schofield Reference Bible? Let us look critically at just one page of the book that has become the guide for secularist Jews in Israel and evangelical Christians in America to explain why they think present-day Israel has the right to all of the land in the Middle East, beginning with Palestine. Genesis 12:3 is part of the Torah and is quoted in the Quran. These 3 verses are standard in the King James translation and very similar in other Bibles. Let me paraphrase it as you read the Old English. The Lord told Abram to leave his home and family and go into a land that God would show him. God promised to then make of Abram a great nation, bless him, and make his name great, protect him by blessing his friends and cursing his enemies. And from Abram's seed all the nations of the earth would be blessed. Now for the part that is important to traditional Christians.
I'm sorry, just real quick. Did any of that sound familiar to you guys? Really? All right, let's keep going.
I quote, "In these shall all the families of the earth be blessed." Christianity has for 2,000 years taken this to be the first notice from God of the coming Savior of mankind. Genesis 12:3 is the earliest covenant that God made to Abram, and it is the one used by Israelis and Christian Zionists to justify the idea that the entire Middle East should be Israeli property. I quote, "Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee." Zionists of all races interpret the phrase, "into a land that I will show thee," as a perpetual land grant to present-day Israel. Now we will examine the most effective corrupter of Scripture in history, one Cyrus I. Schofield, a 19th century American.
Let me just pause it right there. So we've already seen that the Bible said the world is under his protection. You know, the world itself. He loves all children of the world. But this would not maintain for very long because obviously they changed this shit later because of Schofield adding in his little bullshit that he wanted to add in. And remember that this happened in 1909. This is the 20th century. This is long past the first Bible, second Bible, or even, all four. Jesus Christ! All right, just go ahead. Just go ahead. Kick me out of here.
Note on page 19 that the footnotes dwarf the text. Note also that the italicized insertions in between the verses that are not part of the Bible. In the 1967 version of the Scofield Reference Bible, there are more footnotes than in the original 1909 version, and since the death of Scofield in 1921, the footnotes have grown to dwarf the text in these very important pages. Let's look again at the vital footnote 2 found in the Scofield Reference Bible in 1967 on page 19. The footnote reads, God made an unconditional promise of blessing through Abram's seed to the nation of Israel to inherit a specific territory forever.
Oh, all right. Now, what is the problem with that? Abram didn't have any seed. He didn't have any kids at the time. He was just a fucking single dude. Didn't have any family. So that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And again, you see how they said that after his death was it starting to be added even more. So that means as he died, other copycats were going on and saying, oh, let's add this. Oh, let's add this. Then we're going to dish. So it really reminds you of, it should remind you of the episode of South Park where they thought Stan was L. Ron Hubbard's, reincarnate. And when he was sitting there, he treated the Bible more like it was a comic book that he could kind of play with and add some different characters to. And, I kind of like where he was going with it. He made the story a little cooler, and then they just, flipped out. Because, in order to make changes, you got to go to everybody. But again, that shows you it took a 20th century American to change the Bible itself. So, please tell me what gives you so much faith in that Bible? Knowing how easy it is to corrupt, knowing how easy it is to be manipulated, knowing how easy it is to be misinterpreted. Anyway, in other news, we have the state of Israel. Well, actually, in similar news, we have the state of Israel that are now shooting off rockets into Hamas, and that is obviously going to lead into a military dispute. And we know Israel never fights their own battles, so we know damn well who they're going to go to and throw in front of those front lines. Don't get it twisted. That would be the only reason why they would pull from Ukraine is if they said, oh, man, we got to worry about helping out those dudes because, they got money. And again, it's not about saying, oh, they got money because they're Jews. No, they got money because they're an Israeli state, you stupid fuck. And again, this has nothing to do with an American Jew. If you're an American Jew, you probably Chinese food on Christmas. Your stereotypes are what? Money and that you're funny. Awesome stereotype, dude. I wish we had that. I'm Italian. We have terrible stereotypes. They think I'm a wife beater just because I'm Italian. We literally can't even wear a certain style of shirt because it's literally titled that. Fuck, man. I don't care. I never look good in one anyway. So, when I was talking about the U.S. Liberty, the USS Liberty, the amount of veterans that were so poorly treated and the way everything went, it was flat out disgusting. And I saw a video on it that's very low in views, so I'm going to go ahead and throw them up there, and let's just kind of listen to this guy side by side and see what he's got to say. Personally, I enjoyed when I watched it, I enjoyed what he had to say. But he's going to tell us about the USS Liberty, which honestly everyone should know about.
Did you know that once upon a time, Israel attacked its strongest and closest ally, the
Let me get out
United
of the way for you.
States. And they did it on purpose. I know you've probably never heard about it, but I'm not kidding. This wasn't an accident, misfortune, or even a conspiracy. It was much worse. Israel actually conducted an aerial and sea attack on an unarmed US Navy vessel, the USS Liberty, killing 34 Americans and injuring more than 170. Welcome back to the show. In today's episode, we see how Israel got away with murder, and not for the first time. Picture this. It was a sunny summer day on June 8, 1967. The US wasn't having a good year. Racial discrimination and poverty had sparked riots all over the country. The Vietnam War was raging, and 10,000 US soldiers died that year alone. Powers like Egypt and Syria were backed by the Soviet Union, while Israel were backed by the US and Allied powers. Back to that sunny day on June 8th, the USS Liberty, a state-of-the-art US intelligence gathering vessel, was sailing across Mediterranean waters and into the war zone. The spy ship was in international waters, off the Egyptian coast in Sinai. Exclusive interviews obtained by Al Jazeera revealed the shocking details of the entire incident.
Our primary purpose was to intercept communications of the Russian spy aircraft as it were at Alexandria, Egypt, and then that was our job, was to find them. We were not targeted against the Israelis.
At this point, the 1967 war had just 2 days left. Sinai, East Jerusalem, and Gaza had been seized, Jordan and Egypt had been defeated, and only Syria was holding out. The USS Liberty survivors all claimed that they couldn't hear anything from the Egyptian side.
The airwaves were dead. The only voices we did get were those of Israeli or Hebrew, was what we were hearing.
Israel owned the land and skies, and the Americans had been identified by their allies.
I was listening to the chatter the night before. They knew it was an American ship that came into the area. They knew who we were.
All morning on June 8th, an Israeli reconnaissance aircraft flew over the Liberty, knowing that it was an American vessel.
They were slowly lumbering over our ship, and we were waving at them, they were waving at us. And I felt that we were in great shape because they knew who we were.
They're our friends. We felt safe. Actually, it was a secure feeling to see them.
The Liberty was actually the only sizable vessel in the area that day. The ship even boasted a massive American flag that could be seen from miles away. The last thing that anyone expected was an attack.
Sun was shining, blue sky, clouds, nice, people sunbathing on the deck. We had lunch, and 5 minutes later maybe, here came the jets, and nobody really knew what was happening until they started firing.
Israeli military jets started opening fire at the Liberty. Surviving crew members recount how the Israelis fired rockets at the ship and jammed the signals so the crew couldn't request help, and then proceeded to drop napalm on the unarmed crew.
Now, alright, you just talked about dropping napalm on our own people, you know. Now, the USS Liberty was one of the most underreported, probably the most underreported slaughter in American history. Now, that same year, Lyndon B. Johnson, who is like 4% piece of shit and like 96% Satan, maybe reverse it. Yeah, reverse it. 96% shit, 4% Satan. This piece of shit actually wouldn't even meet the with the families of the victims. He wouldn't meet with the survivors of the atrocity. He wouldn't acknowledge its very existence. And that shit, I mean, as you can tell, I mean, that bothers me, man. That's just not right. And I really love that Barbara Honegger, she had written, she was responsible for the October surprise. She had also did a symposium called Behind the Smoke Curtain, which we have shown on this show. She dedicated, or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't even her. So Rebecca Roth, who also is another writer, she wrote Methodical Deception, Methodical Illusion, Methodical Conclusion, and I think it's like Methodical There's one more, but the whole series of books is a novel way. It's a way of comparing 9/11 and the whole aspect to a fake story, but in that fake story, she's using real names and real situations. So it's not hard to understand what she's talking about. She's really laying it on fucking super thick so you can really see the minutia and really get into it. And I mean, she lists names of, I mean, some of the names that she saved were people that helped her with information, and some of the names she saved for either they were made up or just she didn't want to reveal their identity. And my point is, she dedicated her book to the USS Liberty, and I thought that showed a lot of class because, again, this is a very silent attack that nobody even fucking knows about. So it's just really pathetic. And to continue and to finish this off with this whole idea of our military having given no respect. I mean, when you look at the naval captain of Short, excuse me, at Pearl Harbor that got so screwed he didn't have enough planes, he didn't even have enough gas. I mean, to sit there and tell me this guy wasn't set up to fail is just a bold-faced lie. He was set up to fail, and he was set up to get set up. He was set up to die. And same thing with John O'Neill on 9/11. And so we have a guy running for president. Maybe he wants to be speaker. I don't know. But this giant fat pumpkin is just an insult to our military, an insult to every friend I have in the Marines, in the Marine Corps, in the Army Reserves, in the Navy, Air Force. I have friends in everything. One of my best friends is in the Air Force. And he's a goddamn genius. So for Trump to say that the people that are in our military, and I don't agree with the shit that they do, but I don't blame them for having to do it. I mean, I blame the people that make them do it. But my point is, when push comes to shove, these motherfuckers are there. And I know for a fact that my friend has saved lives. I know for a fact my other friend has saved fucking lives. I love them for what they've done. And that's keeping their word. They said they were going to go through 4 years of hell, and they fucking did it because they love their country. And to me, that is something that Trump and people like Trump will never fucking understand. They don't have pride. They only have narcissism. They don't have real pride. Pride comes from achievement. They've never achieved anything in their lives, which is why they are as useless as they really fucking are. And when you look at Donald Trump Jr. doing that recent event, talking, he was being laughed at by the interviewer, and he thought he was charming her. She was laughing at you because you didn't even know the basics of Accounting 101, and you even fucking admitted that. You're a dumb piece of shit, and it's hilarious that your own father sold you and your brother out, and Eric looks like a deer in the headlights. It's fucking hilarious. All right, so yeah, I'm not done with Israel. I'm going to keep talking about this since people have this misconception over that because America stands with Israel, but I just showed you why. And it's because in our own Bible, some asshole wrote in that we had to protect Israel. That was total bullshit, and why they call him the greatest corrupter in biblical history. All right, so I'm going to end this with the fact that, you know what? I'm not even going to show it. I was going to show a thing on Bill Maher that was talking about how facts matter. And yes, there needs to stop this trend or this idea that emotional truths come before fact. No, never, never, ever, ever. Fact comes before fiction, before anything else. You need a fact to start anything on the right foot. I don't give a fuck how it makes you feel. So, in conclusion, this is for Hassan Minhaj to actually say that truth should be an emotional state, not factual states. Here, there's another one for you, okay? I used to really respect you, but now I have none, because that is the dumbest thing you could possibly say. Facts matter, and you are the reason. You're not the reason, but it's stupid shit said like that has given people the reason to think they're always right, and gives this whole Dunning-Kruger effect to our entire fucking country, where you have morons that think they're intelligent, and the intelligent sitting there quietly because they don't want to bother the moron. And that's not a life that I can live. All right. So this show, if anything, I will keep around just to state that fact. All right. So love you guys. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay yourselves. Stay cheesy. Stay easy. And I'll see you on the other side. Most of all, stay cheesy, my friends.
Please note these are a form of social commentary and not in any way meant to put down the ideas and ideals of any political or gender identity. You are all fair game in the eyes of the wicked, and we see you.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at see that chap over there? Take your hand off my penis!
The Deputy Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Deputy Secretary.
This guy is fucking stupid!